I believe that life is happening for us, not just to us. One of the things that happened between the first shift of that company that ended and starting the travel company was that I was invited by a national organization to step in as a director consultant with them. And it was so important for me to learn the skills that I learned managing people, working with groups, giving speeches, giving talks. All of that mattered and really played into what I was able to do in the future. So I believe that life is happening for us, not just to us. And if you look around at what is going right for you, because that's part of this stage of setting your course.
Welcome to Beyond the Business Plan. I'm LeAnn Lyon, your guide on this journey to success. We will explore the inspiring stories of visionary leaders and groundbreaking entrepreneurs and unveil the tools and strategies that can empower you to manage your business from anywhere in the world. Join me, LeAnn, as we learn, laugh, and take the leap towards unleashing your joyful business journey. And let's make it happen now.
Have you ever found yourself burned out, stuck, wondering if there's more for you than just surviving week to week? Or maybe you're concerned about your job security in the world with, this thing called AI in it. Maybe you've dreamed of something on your own, of your own. Or maybe you've even started something like that, but now you're questioning if it's worth it. What if setting a new course and truly preparing for change could turn confusion into clarity and burnout into your next breakthrough? Well, today I'll walk you through the first two steps of what I call the sailing system, SAILING, so that you can stop drifting and start steering your own journey, no matter where you are on the path. 2-1. This is the second episode of a 5-part series, which we began last time on episode 22 of the season. The first two steps of the sailing system, the S and the A, are how to set your course by clarifying what you want, and then how to anchor your readiness so you feel truly grounded and prepared, not just for your plans, but really inside of yourself. These two steps are very internal. This is not when you're setting up a website or buying a domain. These are very, I would say, quiet parts to the whole sailing system, but they're super important. Now, if you're inspired and you're like, I know what I want to do, don't hold back. You can be kind of jumbling these parts a little bit together, but truly those pieces usually come a little bit later in the sailing system. So let's listen in today for what we do for the S and the A, preparing yourself and getting clarity on where you're going before you just jump into the water. I really hope that this episode will serve you exactly where you're at. That's my intention with everything that I'm sharing with you today and every day. If you need more resources or want to dive more deeply in with me, my contact information, as always, is below. So let's begin. If you don't know me, my name is LeAnn Lyon. I am the founder of Joyminder, LLC, and the creator of the Sailing System. So I know this stuff pretty well. But, I was having a chat with my AI this morning, and I said, where am I at in the sailing system? And it laughed at me. Well, I mean, sort of. Now that the AI that I use has a voice, I'm actually tempted to play that and see what happens. But anyway, and, it was illuminating because no matter where you're at in the sailing system, there isn't an end. Truly, S and A are the beginning, and you may not need to come back to these steps very often, although you may as well, because sometimes things change, or something you thought was going to work out doesn't, or you find out once again that you weren't cut out for whatever it is that you're moving towards, and that's okay. Then you kind of come back to this and start over. because really that's life. If you've heard any of my episodes where I recount all the things I've done and all the pivots I've had to make, both for personal and professional reasons, it is unfortunately, I'd say, part of life. But life's a journey. None of us are going to get out of it alive. So make the best of it. None of us, by the way, are guaranteed anything past the moment you're in. So be present. Enjoy the stages you're at. Don't get too anxious about the future. Fully embrace where you're at and then move forward. So let's start out. The letter S of the sailing system stands for set your course. This is about clarity of purpose, your vision, your core values, finding your why, charting your direction. This is a really important part because if you don't know where you're going, you could end up anywhere. We've talked about this before. Even the rocket going to the moon was off course 98% of the time. Sailing ships, as they came across the ocean, especially when they really were sailing ships, they literally found their way by the stars, and the stars changed every season. I mean, how hard would that be? But charting your course is important. So here's a little piece of my story. When the company that I led for many years came to a very abrupt ending, there was a lot of grief. There was also, however, an opening. And so no matter where you're at, whether you're just feeling dissatisfied with what's going on in your career, or I hate to say it, but you know that you're facing a potential upheaval, grief can be part of that, but there is also an opening. Look for the opening, an opportunity to regroup, to think. And for me, that was about stepping more into what really drove me and drove my passions. Now, my passions had changed over the years. When I first became a teacher, I became a math teacher just because I could. I understood math well enough, and I really wanted to serve kids at the level of really the kids that really needed it. Like the kids that got math easily, they weren't my cup of tea. I mean, nothing wrong with them. They're fun, but I liked to get into and work with the kids that struggled a little bit more, that had a little more resistance even to learning math. You know, it was an opportunity for me to get in and say, hey, this is important and you can do this. Maybe things haven't changed quite so much. I thought, because that's really what I love to do even today. You know, if you want to do it yourself, I've got great plans to help you do it yourself. But if you need a little support, you need a nudge here and there, we've got ways to do that as well. So it gave me a chance to say, though, with that business, which was a health and wellness business, is this really what I'm passionate about? And thinking back, I mean, how would I say that that was my passion, to get in and help people that are resistant to being healthy? That's a chore. Health and wellness really is an internal process. If you don't want it, it's really going to be hard to get it. It's just way too easy in our American culture, at least with our SAD diet, standard American diet, to be healthy with, if you're not intentional about it. So as much as I believed in it, and I still do, and I work very hard at putting good food into my body and exercising and all the things, but it really wasn't my passion to work with people in that area. So again, here was my opportunity to regroup, to think about what was I passionate about? What did I really love? And I loved being in business. And I loved the freedom and opportunity that it had opened up for me, as opposed to when I was a teacher or when I worked for somebody else, or even when I was the owner of a job and owner of a company that sold products that weren't totally my passion. So now I do. The products that I have are helping entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs, and sometimes there are other products that I'm super passionate about. I know if you've listened to a few of my shows, you've heard me talk about healthy coffee. Go check it out. It's awesome. So that is part of what I do, but I'm super passionate about it. And there was one other turning point within the same year, yay, and that was being on stage. in, like 8 months later, I'd already built up a business where I already had 1,000 people in my business. This is another network marketing company. And suddenly COVID happened and I had to regroup again and think again, okay, I wanted to do a travel company. Travel's not possible anymore. So now what do I do? There's just so many shifts, but the right people show up at the right time as well. One of the things that happened between the first shift of that company that ended and starting the travel company even was that I was invited by a national network organization to step in as a director and a consultant with them. And it was so important for me to learn the skills that I learned managing people, working with groups, giving speeches, giving talks, so to speak. All of that mattered and really played into what I was able to do in the future. So I believe that life is happening for us, not just to us. And if you look around at what's happening, what is going right for you? Because that's part of this stage of setting your course. So if you're feeling burned out, if you're feeling exhausted, if you're feeling unfulfilled in your current role, if you're sensing that call to build something joyful, authentic, and adventurous, this is the place that you start to set your course. So take a moment on this. And remember, you can hit pause. This is a podcast. I'm not streaming live, so you can hit pause. Take a minute, grab your journal or a voice memo or whatever you want to do. And I'm going to ask you a series of questions here. You can hit rewind, come back to the questions, replay them, write them down, answer them. And we're going to help you start to set your course right now. So here's one. When was the last time that you felt truly energized by your work? And what values are non-negotiable for you? What must you have if you were to move forward? What values do you hold that are non-negotiable? Now, I love this one, and I do this one fairly regularly, even now. But if you could design your perfect work day, what would it look like? And go ahead, design your perfect vacation day as well, because that gives you a little extra juice. 3, 2, 1. Here's another one. What impact do you dream of having on others or on your community? Just think about these things, sit with them. If you're of faith, pray about them. And finally, why is change important for you right now? And the answer to that, by the way, might be it's not. But these are still great questions. If you have that longing or that inkling or that concern that you may be out of a job soon, well, then maybe change is important for you right now. Practical steps for this stage include writing out a very, very, very rough business plan. Don't get too tied to it. Even better, just start with a vision statement. Go with that. What does your perfect workday look like and your values, and put something together there. Start thinking about who are the people you really want to reach. Who makes your heart just say, that's my group? Like my liking to work with the struggling 7th grade math students. They were my group. They were my niche. And now my niche are the burned out professionals, the people who are struggling with where they're at, or potentially, like I said, worried about losing their career. People who are just feeling a longing, a dissatisfaction. That's my niche now. What's your niche? This is the time for you to clarify your why. Why do you want to do this? For me, it's also a calling on my life. I know that I'm called to lift up other people, and in many cases, share my faith in the right times and in the right places with people who need the hope that I experience and I know, or maybe the forgiveness that I'm so blessed with and am free to share with others because of it. So dream, brainstorm business ideas. There's more to it. We'll get to those steps later in this episode and in future episodes. And if you want a quick refresher, remember, you can always go back to episode 22. There's another episode that I'm going to encourage you to consider listening to. It's episode number 4, and that was called From No to No, Lessons in Growth. What? No to no? Why would you go from no to no? Well, remember, no can be spelled 2 different ways. So it's from no, N-O, to know, K-N-O-W. And it's at this stage where you can begin to shift from hearing no or even saying no to yourself and stepping into that, oh, I just got chills all over, stepping into that knowing of where you're called to go. And maybe testing a little bit about that, but we'll get into the testing phase coming up. Don't worry about it. So that is part of, the whole journey. Now, I have been on this journey for 6 years since my last major transition from being president of a manufacturing company to stepping into just doing this all over again. And it has taken time. They say that overnight successes are not overnight. A very well-known speaker right now, I'm not going to name names here just because it gets crazy, but said, yeah, they want to be like me. That's fine. They have to go through 10 years of being on the road for 300 days a year to get the success that I have today. They think I'm an overnight success. Not even close. And that can be true with business, but you and we have a secret weapon, and that's called AI. So there is speed available. You might not have to take the sailboat out. You may have a speedboat. And that speedboat comes with directions and course mapping and all sorts of support. And I'm here to help with that. I'm excited about it. But go back and listen to From No to No. Step away from saying no to yourself and step into the knowing of what you're called for, what you're here for. And I do believe we are all here for a reason. I'd love to have that conversation with you. So let's move forward. So set your course is all about the dreaming and the discovering phase, where you give yourself permission to want more and start imagining what's possible. But dreaming alone won't get you to your destination. We can all agree on that. So after the break, we'll talk more about how to anchor yourself, to steady your confidence, and really prepare for the journey ahead. So stick around. You won't want to miss it.
Hey, sales setters, are you ready to jumpstart your entrepreneurial journey or give your business a powerful refresh? Join us at the next and Restart Your Business Summit, where you'll discover the tools, strategies, and inspiration you need to thrive. Learn more at joyminder.com. That's JOYMINDER.com, and look for the Restart Your Business Summit icon. Don't miss out. Your future business awaits.
Welcome back. Before we set out on our next leg of our journey, let's anchor in. What is holding you steady right now? Who or what makes you feel stronger when fear creeps in? I want you to grab your notebook or voice memo again, pause if you need to, and jot down one support or one strength and even one small habit that you want to bring with you. So things that you're doing already. I'm going to give the example of a teacher. You're a teacher. You have the strength of giving presentations, of organizing, of recording, of patience. Do you not? Well, hopefully. But what parts of those things do you want to bring with you even as you redesign a new life? Remember, nobody feels 100% ready for this. What matters is having anchors so that you can weather the waves ahead. So take a look at yourself right now and think about those things. Write them down. You can pause, rewind a minute if you need a reminder, and then we'll launch into the next letter of the sailing system, letter A, anchor your readiness. So what is the definition of Anchor Your Readiness. It's about really preparing for the change. You've thought about it, you've dreamt about it. That's the letter S. But now you're ready to prepare for the true change. You're ready to assess your strengths, your resources, your obstacles. Start building the foundation for your next step. So in addition to saying, hey, I already realize that I'm really good as a teacher at presenting, at working with others, at collaborating, at having patience. Great. Guess what? You're probably already naturally good at sales. And if you're like most people, you're like, ew, but that's what I don't want to do. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to have to do it. So let me help you with that. Teachers are naturally good at sales. You've been selling since the day you became a teacher. You sell those kids on learning what they need to learn. You explain to them the benefit to them of what they're going to gain. You do this with your colleagues. You do it with your administrators. You do it with your parents. You're selling all the time. So take that with, whatever profession you might be in, it's probably true. If you're a parent, let's say you don't have a profession, you're a parent and you're starting and longing to start a business. You ever sell your kids? You bet you do. How about just having a spouse? You ever sell your spouse on, hey, I want to go here for vacation, or I want to start a business, or let's go here for dinner. You're always selling. So that's what selling is. It's just helping other people see the value they will receive from working with you or doing things the way that you're recommending that they do them. Cool. All right. So we're over with the sales conversation. But you may still feel, oh, but I want to learn more. Fine. If you're a teacher, you probably want to learn more. We are unstoppable learners for the most part. So where do you go to learn more? Well, this is the stage where you say, okay, what do I want to learn more? Do I feel like I need to learn closing techniques for sales? Great. There's a lot of courses out there. And in fact, I have a few I can recommend. What other resources? What are the obstacles you're concerned with? And, how can you work around that? There's this really great tool I'm going to recommend. It's called AI. Start using AI right now. Start talking to AI about these things. Hey, this is what I feel I'm strong at. These are the resources that I have. I do have money. I don't have money. What are your obstacles? I do have support. I don't have support. And start talking with AI. And if you're not used to AI and this feels weird, come on over to one of my Q&A sessions and we'll talk about that, about how to do it. Because that can be your best tool for moving through this stage and realizing what it is that you need to do. So each of the restarts that I've had, I needed to reassess what I'd learned and where I was ready to go now. Let's talk back again about the move from owning a manufacturing company, where I was also, by the way, the whole marketing department. Well, during that time, I learned social media. I learned to write blogs. I also learned how to edit my blogs by having somebody else read them and make edits. I learned that I wasn't the perfect writer on the first draft, which I kind of had believed a little bit before, because I'm a good writer naturally. But editing is, it's so important. But knowing all of those things and having developed all of those things, that was part of what I knew I could bring in and help teach other people now. And life happens too. This past year in my life has not been easy. Things have fallen away. Business things that I was involved with and have changed. Platforms that I was using disappeared. Relationships have changed. All of this has actually just pointed me more and more towards, well, you and this podcast and the summit that's coming up and the sailing system. Some of these things, not all of them, but some of them really wouldn't be here if I hadn't gone through some of the trials of the past year. What can you learn from things? I'll give you one more really core example. A year ago at this time, I had a broken rib in my back and a broken foot. I'm in a boot. I can't move very well, and I didn't feel good. I really didn't feel good. I was significantly overweight and I needed to make a change. So honestly, I bless that broken rib and I bless that broken foot because it made me figure out how to get healthier, what I needed to do. And even though I couldn't go on long walks yet, that meant I really had to focus on the one thing that matters more than exercise, and that is your diet. You can never out-exercise a bad diet. I had no way to exercise for the first, really a couple months. That rib in my back was a real problem all the way until November, and I'm recording this in August. So August, September, October, into November, I was not able to go out and exercise, and yet I reduced my weight by almost over 30 pounds, I believe. So that was a very good start, and I had to do it all with diet. I wouldn't have done that, though, probably without the breaks, the broken bones. I mean, how awful to say, yeah, it was great. I broke my bones. It wasn't great. It hurt a lot. I ended up in the hospital in the emergency room one time thinking I might be dying because that rib in my back, I was sure it had poked a hole in something that should not be poked. But it didn't. I'm still here. So even the trials that you're going through, and I hate to say it, but somebody out there is losing a job they know they're going to, or they just did. Even those trials are opportunities to assess, where are you at? Where do you need to go? And where is your real passion? How can you step into that? I'm going to give you a real practical piece of advice too. If you're losing a job due to AI, because I know it's happening, really do consider, what other skills do you have? Because, when I do know this, when AI takes a job, I don't think it's really coming back the same way. So, go into those longings in your heart. And it might be just those areas where we believe at this time AI is not going to be able to take it over. AI is not going to dress a wound. I don't believe, is going to be able to, become a plumber or an electrician or do those hands-on type of handiwork types of things. Now, if you enjoy those things, maybe it's time to step into those. I heard a statistic recently that 500,000 tradespeople retire every year, and only 50,000 people are going into them. The trades, building houses, fixing things, those types of opportunities. If that's something you do have a skill for, consider turning that into your business. If you don't, but you have an invention idea, again, you can use AI to maybe create that invention that you've always thought about, that you've always had in your mind. Learn how to use AI so you can create that, develop the business for it. And I have a whole system laid out for that as well. How do you use the sailing system if you have a concrete device or invention that you want to bring to the world? So just a couple of random thoughts. Let's get back into anchoring your readiness, though. So what is this? This step of anchoring your readiness is that shift from dreaming and reflection, which was set your course, to realistically preparing yourself mentally, emotionally, and practically for the changes ahead. And that might mean taking a class, investing into some sort of, maybe this time, maybe instead of going to college for the art history degree, you go back and you get a degree that's a little more hands-on. Ground yourself in a solid foundation so that you don't drift at the first sign of challenge, because this is the stage where you're really starting to dig into what matters to you. And reflect on that every single day. If you've created your why statement, your passion, your mission statement, start reading that on a regular basis, making sure that it's really solid, because that is going to be your anchor as you move forward. And that's why this stage is called Anchor Your Readiness. So for burned out professionals or new entrepreneurs, maybe by choice or by need, this is where you're going to assess your strengths and your support systems. You're going to recognize your fears, recognize your doubts, but don't let them steer you off course. Recognize them and figure out what you are going to do about them. Gather your tools, gather your mindset shifts. If you need a mindset coach, I can introduce you to plenty. Find the resources that you'll need. And this will, continue on in the next 2 parts of the sailing system, but this is when you can start even imagining the resources that you may need. Maybe it's financial. When it gets into the tools and things like that, we'll cover that later. But develop your foundational routines or your habits that support your next steps. Remember, entrepreneurship, especially in the beginning, can become very, very, very all-consuming. But it's still important to keep other things in balance. My friend Lisa Mosby, who also has a podcast, by the way, wrote a book called Live Well, Travel Far, and she lists the 5 F's. I probably can't quote them offhand, but faith is one of them. Fitness is one of them. Friendships are part of them, I believe. So don't ignore those parts of your life. Make sure that you have a foundation that will support your health. Food is not one of those, but it is an important part of, make sure you're feeding yourself well. You need energy to do all the work that you're going to do to start a business. So start those habits and routines at this point so that they're anchored in as well. So that I get up and I take a walk, or I get up and I pray, and I get up and then I take a walk, or whatever your system is. Get those systems in place now before you really jump into the hard work that is coming. And acknowledge for yourself that change doesn't happen in a vacuum. You get ready on the inside and the outside. So do whatever it takes to internally shift yourself from maybe an employee mentality to an owner mentality. If, again, this is a mindset shift, if you don't know how to do that, find somebody. You can find somebody, or I'm happy to introduce you to people who are excellent at helping you do this. So I'm going to give you more reflection here. So again, you can hit pause, you can hit rewind, review these questions, but I'm going to list them out here. So number 1, what strengths and experiences do you have already from your previous work or life? That was the first thing I asked you to reflect on. So write that question down, list them out. What strengths and experiences do you already have from your previous work or life? Okay, number 2, who in your life supports your growth or can be part of your anchor team? Now, this may not be your spouse or your kids or even your neighbors or friends, but there might be somebody who's been encouraging you all along. Maybe it's not your parents, but maybe it is. Maybe they've seen something in you or even if they've passed, that they told you that they saw in you. And now it's time to step into that. Tap into that. By the way, there's an episode I recorded, episode 13 of the season 1, called Freedom, Family, and the Entrepreneurial Journey. What no one tells you. You might want to review that before you talk to these people. But they are important to find who is your real people, support people that can be part of your anchor team. Number 3, what doubts or fears might rock your boat? And how can you say to yourself, you know yourself, you know where what stops you, what stalls you, what keeps you from moving forward. Or if you don't, this is the time to dig into this, because we all have them. I know I do. Mine is usually a squirrel. Squirrel. I'm just on the track to do something like record an episode podcast when I have another idea that I can put into it. And I go down a whole rabbit hole of, oh, wait, but I can include this. And whoa, that's a really great idea. And days can go by before I get the episode recorded. So understand those aren't doubts or fears, but those are, challenges that I have to overcome in myself, where I have to say, no, what I have is enough and I'm going to record right now. But doubts and fears, absolutely. If you have fears of speaking, teachers generally don't, but if you are in any other profession, you have a fear of public speaking, if you're afraid of what other people are going to say about you, again, episode 13 can be really good for you. Question number 4. What routines, habits, or mindsets are worth bringing with you into this next chapter? We've already talked about this quite a bit, but if you want a deeper dive, I'm going to again refer you to a past episode, episode 16 of season 1, which is called From Chaos to Clarity, which is the power of simple systems. I have a lot of systems in that episode that I give you that you can consider, that you can tweak and turn into your own. And one of the most important systems will be a system with your spouse if you have one, because things will change and you need to, that is your, at least secondary relationship, depending on if God is your first relationship or not. It may be your primary relationship. You need to take care of it. We'll say it's primary human relationship if you have that relationship, right? Good enough. All right. And number 5, what practical or emotional needs must you address before you leap? Again, if you need help with this area, please reach out. I have a whole bunch of curated connections, people that I trust, people that I've worked with, people who know things, and I'd love to make those introductions for you. If you reach out, I'll connect you to them. But if you're listening to this podcast a little bit later in the distant future, those resources are all laid out for you and easy to find. Final question for this reflection part of this show is, what does being truly ready feel like for you? This is a really important question. What does it take for you to feel really ready? Does it mean having everything figured out, or simply being willing to start? Now, for me, I jump into things. I'm like, oh, hey, here's a great idea. Just this past Monday, somebody said, hey, I found this new way to connect with other podcasts. Dropped the link. By Monday night, I was all signed up and already had connections going. I don't take long. I don't have to think about it. Somebody introduced a business opportunity when I knew that it just matched my values and matched what I wanted to do and had the long-term vision. I signed up right away. So not everybody does that. That would be on my just being willing to start end of the spectrum. But if you're more on the I need to have everything figured out, I'm going to encourage you to consider that is something you're going to have to work on, because having everything figured out is temporary. Things change, things shift. Think about it being on a boat. You have everything figured out because it's a perfect sunny day and there's no current. I can drive a boat, no problem on that day. But on a windy day, on a day or on a place with a high current, a cross tide, that's a whole different ball of wax. And those days happen too. And I'll never have that figured out. Nobody ever has that figured out. At some point, it becomes instinct. How do you turn against things? Bigger ship comes by, throws a wake that you weren't expecting for some reason. And you got to know what to do and how to shift and how to manage those things. I'm sorry, but you're never going to have things completely figured out. So if that's a mindset shift that you have to have, do it, and do it soon. It's really going to be an important part of your journey. You don't have to get all the way to where I'm at. We're like, hey, that sounds great. Let's go. Because then eventually I have to let go of things that I'm just not able to juggle everything, or at least put it on a back burner until I can get back to it. But that's what you want to consider. So once again, the full question, if you didn't write it down already, is what does truly ready feel like for you? And then maybe list out the pros and cons of whatever you're at. You can use the Ben Franklin T. All the pros over here, all the cons over there, and then figure it out from there. And by the way, grab your friendly AI, talk into it, share all of that with it, and ask it, what do you think? Be aware, AI has a bias. It's always going to be trying to make you feel better and make you feel good. So sometimes I even tell it, don't blow rainbows up my you-know-what. I need you to tell me straight. Which way do you see this? 3, 2, 1. So let's go into some practical things. These are additional notes that you can jot down or think about, but honestly assess your personal strengths and skills. Evaluate your finances, your time, your support systems, your energy levels. And if your energy levels are low, is that something you can shift? Because you're going to need some energy in entrepreneurship. You just are. Maybe that means you have to shift your physical well-being before you shift into a financial place or into a new entrepreneurial journey. Have real conversations with yourself, maybe with your AI, and trusted others about risk and readiness. Entrepreneurship involves risk. You are going to have to take some risk. Are you ready for that? And if you're not, what do you need to do to be willing to take that little bit more risk? Risk isn't for everybody. Entrepreneurship isn't for everybody. So know where you're at. Identify the resources that you do have. Do you need legal resources, accounting resources, support? If you're creating something, are you ready to hire somebody to help you with the shipping, or are you going to do it all by yourself? Evaluate all the different resources that you think you might need, and we'll continue to refine that through the system. And then plan for your own self-care. Plan for your energy management. Super important that you plan for all of that. If you still, by the way, don't know what you want to launch into, that's okay too. That's totally okay. At this point, it's more about looking at yourself, understanding yourself, listing out what you have and what resources you might need. And if you want some ideas, go ahead and listen to Season 1, Episode 7, where I talked about unlocking your potential. And these are a whole bunch of business ideas for new entrepreneurs based on my journey. It really goes through all the different things that I've done, and maybe it will spark something in you too. If you're new to the show or you want the full picture of the sailing system, remember you can always listen back to Season 1, Episode 22, where I covered the entire sailing system in a single overview. Perfect for those who want the big vision all at once. And you can get the download of the sailing system right here in the show notes below. Plus, before we dive into the next 2 steps of the sailing system in episode 28, which will be coming on August 26th, you are in for something special. Between now and then, I'll be sharing 2 guest episodes with some incredible voices, both Daniel Hewer and Jeff Clapp. Both are also going to be featured speakers in my upcoming summit, which is in September of 2025. So you'll get to preview their wisdom, their stories, their fresh perspectives that they'll bring to our community. And yes, you can get the details for the summit and how to join, topics, guest lineup. They're all ready. Check the show notes for your free online event ticket. Yep, free online event ticket. So listen to those guest episodes and get ready for a truly energizing journey. Finally, just a quick reminder, again, grab your copy of the Failing to Sailing System Workbook in the show notes. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me on the Beyond the Business Plan to unleash your joyful business potential. And remember, entrepreneurship is a voyage that you can take with others. So find your tribe for the journey, and I would be blessed to be part of it. You can help me out with a like or a subscribe or comment on your favorite platform or platforms, and keep shining and aligning with your purpose. And until next time, I'm LeAnnLyon.com, your Chief Joy Officer, signing off. Keep spreading the joy, keep leading with heart, and I'll catch you on the next wave of success. Hey, coffee aficionados and entrepreneurs, LeAnn Lyon here. Are you craving that caffeine kick, but looking for a healthier alternative? Well, 9 years ago, I discovered the ultimate collection of energizing options to fuel your entrepreneurial spirit without the jitters. Discover your next favorite pick-me-up today and keep your business dreams brewing strong. Hear what it did for me by visiting this website whyilovemycoffee.com. Yes, that's the URL, whyilovemycoffee.com, because your peak performance deserves more than just another cup of joe.
Thank you all for joining us today on Beyond the Business Plan. It's been a joy and a privilege to share this space with you. For more inspiring stories, tools, and actionable insights, make sure to follow us on your favorite video platform. Visit my website, LeAnnLyon.com, and keep leading with heart. And I'll catch you on the next wave of success.